What is also challenging is that we need people to be skilled for about 150 million technical jobs that are being created as we speak. If you go to platforms such as LinkedIn, you will find that there are at least 50,000 professional skills. So where do we begin from here? There's just a little poll for you. How has your job been affected by COVID-19? We can move on. So this has been a year of pandemics, the fourth economic revolution, recession, uncertainty, lockdowns, restructuring, self-introspection, and we've also looked at our values. What is important to us? What has changed in how we look and prioritize what's happening in our personal life as well as in our professional life? It is also a time of great opportunity. It's a time for us to sit and think, where am I? Where am I going? What is it that I want out of life for my personal growth as well as for my professional growth? What I do know for certain is we will need to improve our employment opportunities. Without a doubt, we will have to look at how we are going to train ourselves so that we have a different skill set. As many employers today say, you know what, having years and years of experience is not enough. We need you to get a qualification. And it also, if you are going to create more skills, it gives you more opportunity out in the market as we are going to compete, not only in our departments or in our province or in our country, but also we are going to compete globally. What I also know is if we do not participate in skills development and upskilling ourselves, we will decrease our own opportunities. So we need to increase our own opportunities by upskilling ourselves. Experience will not cut it. Many jobs that are being offered now has got certain qualifications pegged on them so that people know that if I want to apply for this job, I need this type of qualification. What I also know is it's a time of personal growth. It's a time where you will have to look at and honestly look at your skills and say, what is it that I have? What can I do that is very good? And what am I not so sure about? What do I need to improve on? We realistically have to look at ourselves and say, how good is my communication skills? Can I sell anything to anybody? Can I negotiate? How's my time management? Have I got that ability to network with others? So we as people need to grow. Sometimes some of them we can tick and say, yes, we are doing fine. But for some of them we say, oh, I'm not so sure about this one. And then that is an opportunity for you. But what I also know is you have to look at your industry and you have to decide, in my industry, what is it that my industry wants? What are the critical skills that my industry not only need today, but are going to need in the future? Technology is going to affect us. Globalization is going to affect us. What am I going to do to stay relevant today as well as in the future? If you look at the situation we are in now, where a lot of the work that we are doing are electronic, we are talking to one another via Zoom or Teams or Skype. Who would have thought that last year that we will be doing a lot of our work via the internet? So everything changes, and we need to understand our industry so that we can prepare ourselves so that we know what the skills are that is needed. So a little poll for you. Do you know what your skill set is? If you can vote for that.
Just a reminder, guys, please go to menti.com. It is a completely anonymous poll. So we'd love you to think about what is your skill set And just take 2 or 3 minutes, go to menti.com. The code is 157095. It's phenomenal to see the people who have voted all know what their skill set is. But I'm wondering about everybody voting, not just 4 people. So if you wouldn't mind taking a minute or two and answering that question. Do you know what your skill set is? Do you know what your top skills are?
Right. So the question then is, what is the approach that we need to take right now? This is the cards that were dealt to us. How are we going to make lemonade out of these lemons that we've been receiving these last few months? We need to obtain more skills. We need a broad set of skills. Being a generalist is going to, and being multi-skilled is going to be much more advantageous to you than being a specialist. Yes, specialists are always going to be needed in every field, but you need to have a wide set of skills so that you can perform many duties in your organization. We will be asked, and this is a reality, by our employers to do a lot more with a lot less money and a lot less time. We also further need to partner with other people and collaborate with other people so that we can build a skill set. Sometimes you don't have the experience, but you've got the knowledge part. Sometimes you will then have to partner with others so that you can get the necessary skills and experience to fit the knowledge that you have. So what would be the benefits of doing this? It changes you into a more rounded person because you've increased your skill set, you've obtained more knowledge and experience, you've become more self-confident. In the past, you would have said, well, I wonder if I can do this. Now you can say, listen, count me in. I can also be part of this. I can also do this work. I can be more proactive and help you in different areas where I never thought I would work in the workplace. I can work there as well. Secondly, it makes you more marketable and more competitive. We are going to compete for jobs going forward like you've never seen. And you need to make yourself as marketable to others. You've got to stand out and say, look at me. Look at the skills I'm bringing to this job. Look at all the things I can do that other people not necessarily have. So you have to make yourself as marketable and so that you can compete in the market out there. Having all this knowledge and experience makes you a fantastic resource, as now you can see problems before they are actually there. You can come up with many different solutions. So your employer will say, listen, I'd rather make use of her and pay, or him, and pay them more because this person can think outside of a box. Having better career opportunities allow you the ability to choose between a wide set of different jobs, not just one or two. So how do we do this? How do I decide what are the skills that I need and how do I upskill myself? You first need to research your industry. Find out what are the critical skills that are in your industry that you need to obtain. Write down all the critical skills, and you find it in places such as the sector skills plans. In the sector skills plans, you will find all the critical skills that they need now, and it also indicates what are the trends and what are the shortages that are out there. Then on the other side, you write down what are the skills that you have right now. Then you compare them with one another so that you can find out what is the gap. What are the skills that you don't have? Or what are the skills that you don't feel very sure about? Then write them down and then decide what courses or qualifications do I need to obtain so that I can obtain these skills that are needed in my industry. Now, if you stop there, you could just as well have not started. You need to put this down in an action plan. You need to say, I will do this negotiation skills course on this date and I will obtain my certificate on that day, and move progressively forward. It's very important that you do that. If you don't put together a plan, you will not do that. As other things come in your way, you get busy, you've got children that need your attention, so they won't happen. So how do I obtain these skills? You can do courses, formal courses that lead to qualifications, where you write exams and where you complete portfolios, or you can do professional development training, which is sometimes done in the workplace, or it's little courses here and there to help you obtain your skill set that you need. Sometimes you need to go and volunteer. I've got a friend who wants to become a nurse. I said to her, but it's going to take you a long time to become a nurse now, and you in your 40s. She said to me, yes, but in the pandemic, they need lots of people to work in the hospital. I'm going to work at the reception and see whether or not I like this environment. Or sometimes you just need to go and volunteer somewhere to get the necessary experience because you've got the knowledge part. But what is very important for you is to develop a strategy so that you can show or articulate your skill set to other people. How will people know about you? Yes, it's good. Place yourself on LinkedIn. Place yourself on different mediums on the internet where people can view you. But what you need is you need a proper CV, an up-to-date CV that you keep updated every few months. You need a proper resume, as not everybody wants to read through pages and pages of all the things that you have done. And you need a cover letter. And something that you should also note here when we talk about a CV is your CV changes. You have your standard CV, and then you have your CV that you're going to customize to fit whatever job it is that you are applying for, that highlights the skills of that job more so than any of the other skills. So you've got your current CV, and then your customized CV that just shows different aspects for different jobs more so than others. But you need to have some sort of electronic advertisement of you so that people are aware who you are. And then there are some of us that, although we've developed our action plan as per the previous slide, we still need that little whip cracked behind us to say, when are you doing this? When are you doing this? So that you are constantly reminded that you need to upgrade yourself and update your CV. So, is your CV up to date? How current is it? If it's been sitting in your computer system for longer than 4 months, it's not really current. And do you know to what extent what must really be in a CV and what should be in a resume? Because all those things will affect whether or not people will delete you from their system or whether they will save your information.
It's so interesting for me to note, Celia, here how the honesty, so many people are saying no, their CVs aren't up to date. Is it important, even if you're not on the job market, to actually put your CV up to date and to update your CV?
Oh, yes, Val, for sure it is. You never know when you decide to go back into the market. And if you don't update your CV constantly, you forget about things that you've done or experiences that you've obtained or courses that you've done. And then those things are not there. And if they're not there, people don't know about them. We should actually it's like brushing your teeth, but this is a brushing your CV every 1 or 2 months. Updating it.
Thanks so much. Just before you continue, just a request for those of you who've just joined us to please turn your cameras off and to turn yourselves onto mute, just so that everybody can have great quality on today's session. So thank you.
Right. So the big breakdown of skills is basically computer skills, communication skills, problem-solving skills, project management skills, customer service skills, and organizational skills. Those are the and people call these skills many things: future skills, power skills, foundational skills. But you know what? It's in-demand skills. And that is actually what you need to put on your CV, is in-demand skills for your sector. What are the skills that your sector demand right now of you or for the future? And these in-demand skills, next slide, Val, can either be hard skills or soft skills. Now, your hard skills are more technical skills that you have to obtain, and it's where you have to go and study to get these things well-rounded and well understood, such as cloud computing, artificial intelligence, people management, video production, sales leadership, audio production. There are such a large amount of skills that you need to be able to, next slide, Val, that you need to obtain. Things such as natural language processing, scientific computing, game development. Now, let me tell you, this specific area has exploded in the last few months as people were locked down, staying at home. And now, what do? They watch movies and they play games. So game development has become a huge thing, and it's becoming like a sport in the world. So there's a huge amount of opportunity there as well. Social media marketing, business analysis, journalism, digital marketing, where you have to sell and market products and services digitally. Malls and those things are out. People are wanting to buy online. Industrial design and customer service systems. Now, soft skills that we will need going forward, there's about 5 that are very, very important. And the first one is creativity. Sorry, there's something that is interfering here.
Yes, I can hear that as well, Celia. If I could just ask Vilna and Nikelo to please turn your cameras off. As you can see, it does have an impact. And please all mute yourselves. If you wouldn't mind muting yourselves and turning your computer video off. It's in the middle of your screen. It says turn camera on, turn camera off, and please mute yourselves.
So some of the big 5 creative skills that is out there that we need to look at is creativity, persuasion, collaboration, adaptability, and time management. Now, if you look at creativity, the more you are able to think outside of a box, the more solutions you can come up with, the more choices you have of choosing the right solution for problems. So this is the first one that we are looking at. The second one is persuasion, getting people to buy your products and services. This is going to be a key thing going forward. People, you're not going to phone them. They just kill the phone. But you need to find ways of how do you attract people to your web page, to your products and your services using the internet. Collaboration. As projects grow, increasingly more complex and global and more global, we will all have to collaborate with one another. You know what? We are going to work on projects. Mostly. And in some projects, you are going to be the project leader. In some projects, you're going to be a specialist. In some, you're just going to be a worker. And as an employee of a company, you might be working on 20 different projects at the same time. And you will have to learn how to collaborate with people sitting across the world or across a different province or even in South Africa. And how do you collaborate with them? How do you communicate with them? How do you assist one another so that you end up with an excellent product? You might find that you have a colleague that sits in India and another one that sits in Sri Lanka. And it's all about collaborating and partnering with one another. You also need to adapt. we always say, and everybody knows, change is for only constant in our lives. We will have to learn to adapt, and to adapt to change as the change occurs, and sometimes even preempting it so that we are changing even before the world has changed. And then time management. Many of my colleagues say to me, you know, Cecilia, when I open up my eyes in the morning, I start working. And at night, when everybody's going to bed, I'm still working. And we need to look at that and say, whoa, that's not how it was intended. You need to find some way of managing your working time and your off time in your sphere of as you're working from home, so that you don't end up just working day and night. You need to be able to switch off. You need to be able to understand that in the new way of working, it doesn't matter how many hours you work. It's, are you going to reach your outcomes? And if you reach your outcomes by working 2 hours, c'est la vie. If it's going to take you longer, that doesn't matter. You are going to be paid per outcome achieved. So time management is going to become very important. Now in 2020, or what was proposed for 2020, before all of this pandemics and everything started, the hard skills that they suggested that people look at was blockchain. That is where you put your money into crypto money, and looking at how to exchange shares using crypto money, cloud computing, analytical reasoning, artificial intelligence, business and analysis, marketing, sales, scientific computing, video production. Are any of those hitting spots with you as I have those skill sets, or this is areas in which I would like to participate? And then the new soft skill set that they said for 2020 was, once again, creativity, persuasion, collaboration, adaptability, and instead of project management as in 2019, it's about emotional intelligence, being able to understand yourself and understand your shortcomings and seeing how do you cope going forward. A little question for you. Do you have the necessary skills to be competitive in 2020? I will also, if I voted, have to say no, I do not have those. I haven't seen a single yes. Yes.
While we're waiting, we do have one hand up just while everybody is voting. I think Jabulani had a question. Yes. Heidi answered yes, she does have the skills. Obviously, she's not on Menti, but she definitely feels she does have the skills. And I think we had one hand up, but I think that hand has gone down. Just a reminder to everybody that we will be sharing the slides after the presentation, and we are going to move into question and answer in just a few moments. So there you have your answer, Cecilia. At the moment, 11 people say no, they don't have the skills. A few more people voting, and 4 do have the skills.
It's great. Great for those that have it. So Microsoft and LinkedIn looked at what are the 15 most important jobs that are needed out there in the world today and for the next 10 years. In other words, where will the most job opportunities be created in the world in the next 10 years? And they put forward the following. They said software developer. And a software developer is programming, network, storage networking, securities. I'm reading from my list because it tells you more about each one of these jobs. Sales representative is where you sell, you negotiate, your customer relations. Project management, IT administration, customer service specialist. This is a big thing out there where they want to measure how satisfied people are with certain products and or services. Digital marketer, where you are going to market things digitally to other people. IT support or help desk, where you are going to become the link between different people working on different products and services. Data analyst, financial analyst, and graphic designer. Now, having said that, I need to tell you that Microsoft has put forward an invitation using LinkedIn where they are saying to everybody in the whole world, we have all the training material that you need for an entry level into all 15 of these jobs. You are very welcome to go to opportunity.linkedin.com and go and look at these jobs and go through the training material. It's mostly video based, where specialists in the field train you for all these different jobs. And the only part that you need to pay for is if you want to, at the end of a training course, want to sit for the exam, there's a very small little fee that you need to pay. But I personally feel this is an excellent opportunity for all of us to look at these different skills and or jobs and translate them back into skills and go and participate in this wonderful opportunity to engage with people that are specialists in their field and to obtain the necessary skills that we need. And if you then feel like it, go and write the exam. There are many, and I don't know if you wanted me to continue with this, Val, but there are many wonderful courses that you can participate in at Academy of York that speaks to the skill set that is so needed right now for all of us to participate in, such as project management, human resources. Your contact center operations also includes many things like customer service, customer marketing, life coaching. Your generic management and business administration qualification also has many aspects to it that speaks to many of the hard and soft skills that you need now. Marketing and customer service. Customer service is huge. If you look at the demand, and there aren't that many people that are well clued up in this area. Leadership and business management. Okay, Val?
Great. So at this point, I am going to open the floor to questions. And I know that Tabor has received a couple of questions before this session. So we're going to start with Tabor's questions. But at the same time, I'd also love to ask you, the attendees on today's webinar, to please send us your questions. And you can do that via the chat. But over to you, Tabor.
Wow. On behalf of AOI team and all our participants joining us today, thank you for such an amazing and insightful talk, Cecilia.
It's a pleasure.
I really enjoyed it, and I felt that it was so relevant to today's time. During this pandemic, it is so important to learn new skills and to consider what our skill set actually is. Yes. My first question is, why do you think problem solving is such an important skill in today's world?
Well, Tabor, it's so important as our employers are going to expect of us to come up with solutions by ourselves because we are going to work remotely. And many of the problems that we are going to have, we don't have colleagues sitting next to us or people that we can ask, and you might not be able to contact them at that stage. So you need to be able to analyze a problem and come up with a few solutions and then choose the right solution. That's why problem solving skills is very important.
Thank you so much for your insightful answer. That is really enlightening. Another question. How can we improve our time management skills in a digital world? where we are expected to respond immediately to emails and WhatsApps and etc.
That's a very relevant question, as many people are struggling with this right now. But Thabo, the thing is, you have to set down your time, that is your working time. And then you have to say, in my working time, I will respond to my emails and I will respond to WhatsApps and whatever else comes my way. But if once I've closed my computer, I've moved out of my office, I am not going to read my emails on my phone. I'm not going to respond to my colleagues, because what you need to understand is you cannot expect people to know how to treat you. You have to teach them how you want to be treated. And that also boils down into your working environment. You have to teach your colleagues, hey, it's not okay. You can't WhatsApp me 7 o'clock at night with regards to work. I'm not going to respond to you. So you need to set rules and boundaries. And that's part of setting your ethics around how you are going to work, even if you're going to work remotely, and how people should respect your time.
Thabo, before you carry on with your questions, there's a great question from the group. Firstly, we will send you a recording of the presentation and the slides. But CD asks, I'm studying health and safety, and I want to know how this will benefit my skills. And before I let Celia answer that question, I just want to reassure you that every single business all around the world needs a health and safety officer. Cecilia, what are your thoughts?
Look, health and safety has become crucial in the workplace, whereas compliance normally meant, in the past, meant first and foremost complying with the letter of the law, the basic conditions of employment, and the Labour Relations Act. And most of the emphasis was placed on complying with that. Now, with the pandemic and the different way people are looking at health, it has just turned right over, and health and safety has become a huge part of compliance in the workplace, more so than the rest. People's values have changed. They'd rather give up on other things in the workplace, such as time. But I want to be healthy and I want to be safe. So for me, I think there's a great career for people in health and safety. And I think if you can think outside of the box in how can you save your company money, and employing different strategies of keeping the staff safe, and thinking laterally of who should work at what shift and where can people work and still be safe, you will become a great asset in your organization. So kudos to you if you're studying health and safety at the moment.
Thank you, Cecilia. There's also another question from Rudo who says, does a CV format matter in the search for a job or the skills, or is it of value if you've got actually certificates of completion? So, I think that also links to Thabo's question around, how do you show your skills in an interview?
Okay, Tendence, how do you show your skills in an interview? Okay, there's a few questions here. The format of your CV is very important. There's a very specific way that you have to set your CV out. You have to introduce them to who you are, your name, your ID, and so forth. Then you have to tell them what are the skills that you are bringing to their organization, and thereafter comes your history and so forth. But some people, for some reason, want to write a book when they're writing their CV. Yes, they have a lot of experience. Yes, they have a lot of skills, but you have to nitpick, and you have to be sure that you choose the ones that are relevant. You can name as many companies that you've worked for, but you have to be careful. Sometimes if you've worked for too many companies, people are going to say, whoa, this person has got commitment issues. So there is a very specific format that your CV should be written in. And certificates of completion versus certificates of attendance. A certificate of attendance is worth nothing. It means you were there on the day. You can make a paper hat. You can make a paper plane. It's worthless. A certificate of completion tells the employer, This person persevered. They attended the course, they wrote the exam, they completed the portfolio, they have the knowledge part. And they understand the knowledge part. Maybe you don't have the experience part, but a certificate of completion is worth a lot more for an employer than a certificate of attendance. And how do you, the question always is, how do I shine when I sit for an interview? You know, some people are just natural when it comes to interviews. They can sell themselves very well. But for the rest of us that struggle to tell people who we really are, what we need to do is we need to practice beforehand and write out a little storyboard of how do I present myself to others? What are the things that they need to know about me? And if I possibly can, I must take in examples of work that I've done to say, listen, I can write beautiful reports. Here's an example of a report that I've written for somebody. Here I've done an analysis of a gap. This is how I did it. You need to show them evidence. It's going to be more than just saying I can do it. It's going to be show me evidence that you have done something. So you need to go out and practice and say, this is my storyboard about me, and practice it in front of a mirror. Tell the people in your house, no, I'm not going crazy. I am practicing to see how I'm going to put myself forward to people, and then practice in front of a mirror so that you can hear it, so that you can see it, and so that you verbalize it, so that by the time you sit in front of somebody and they are interviewing you, you really, really express yourself and your skill set well. How's that?
That's brilliant advice. Thank you.
Yes. There's another question here by Precious Sibia, one of our participants.
Hi, Precious.
She's saying, what's the difference between a CV and a resume?
Okay. A CV is your long version of everything that you have done in your whole life. All the places where you've worked, all the skills that you have developed and created for yourself, all the courses that you've completed. Whereas a resume is just a snapshot of who you are in short. In other words, who you are, your name, your ID, where you stay, things such as that, as well as what are the skills that you need for a very specific job. Sometimes when I apply for a job, I send them only a resume, and it pertains only to skills and experience that I've obtained throughout the years that pertains to that specific job. And then I tell them, if you want the longer version of my CV, I will send that to you at a later stage. But this is what I have that shows that I can do this job. So your resume is just a snapshot of a certain part of your CV that pertains to whatever job it is that you want to apply for.
Oh, thank you. That's very informative. I've got another question from Cindy here. She's saying, how does one get a human resources mentor, for example, and how to volunteer as a human resources specialist or employee, if I can put it that way?
Okay. It depends on where you're working. If you are working in an environment where you have an excellent HR manager and that is there, and it's not you in that specific job, it's always wise to go and sit with them and say to them, you admire what they bring to this specific field or the profession, and can you please use them as a soundboard for all your ideas, and can you learn from them? Is there anything that you can help them with or that you can participate in, even if it's not in your own working time? It might be in your lunchtime, it might be after hours, so that you can learn from them and learn the profession much more. And volunteering is exactly what the name is, where you have to take your personal time and volunteer in a specific area. What I did once when I needed a specific set of skills, I negotiated with my employer that I started working earlier in the morning so that I can leave an hour earlier in the afternoon. And then I would go to a specific department still in the same company. That's just how it worked out. And I would volunteer my services there and do whatever they tell me to do so that I can learn that skill. That's another way of doing it as well.
Thank you. That's very informative as well. Right. Another question. When an interviewer asks a question and I don't know how to answer, what should I do?
Just don't make up an answer. What you need to do is, we do not know everything in the world, and I don't think anybody wants to know everything in the world. And when you don't know an answer, then you say, I don't know. Can you please explain it to me further? And then if you then still don't understand it, ask them if you can think about this and submit it at a later stage. But, if you don't know the answer, don't make up something, because then you're going to look stupid. You need to really just say to them, I don't know this answer, or can you explain this, or give me an example? And sometimes when they give you an example of what it is that they are talking about, then it triggers in you and you can give your answer. But sometimes we just do not have an answer for whatever question it is that they give us. And then you just honestly say, I don't know. But what I also want to say is, when they ask you something and you don't have it, don't just say, no, I don't have it. Rather say, you know what, at this moment, I don't have that specific skill, but I am determined to get that skill as fast as possible. And I am rearing to go, and I'm a fast learner, and I will learn how to do this work going forward, so that you can show that you are proactive and you are willing to learn. People like working with people that are willing to learn. Even if I don't have a skill, it's not so difficult sometimes to obtain those skills, but it's very difficult to work with people that don't want to learn. So sometimes you will take on people that don't have the necessary skills, but the willingness to obtain those skills is high. Then you employ people like that.
Yes.
I completely agree with you there, Celia. There's a lot of people that we've given opportunities to at Academy of York who might not have the skill set, but there's that wonderful willingness to learn. Yes. Thabo, I see that we've got a great question from Danica, and I think this is an important question in terms of whenever you're selecting a course, but she's specifically wanting to know whether the LinkedIn courses are accredited. And I think it poses the question around selecting the right college and the right company or a college to study with when you're actually looking for a course, because there's a lot of free education out there, but not all courses are actually accredited. Cecilia, what are your thoughts?
The LinkedIn Microsoft courses are not South African accredited. They were developed by specialists in the world that are specialists in their field. And that's as far as I can say with regards to that. But I agree with Val 100%. In our country, we need to look at providers that can offer us accredited training. Looking at providers that are accredited, it means that they meet certain basic credentials. They've got proper policies and procedures in place. They're financially astute. They understand how to support learners, and the material is of a specific standard. That is what accreditation means. And one must always look for those providers. I remember a few years ago, there was a company in Braamfontein that offered a 6 months MBA. Everybody knows you can't do an MBA in 6 months, but they offered that, and they had hundreds of people enroll. The first month came and they had a wonderful course that they rolled out. When the learners returned for the second month, there was no company there. They took their money and they ran. And it's because none of them checked whether this was an accredited company, because accredited companies can't do things like that. Those are fly-by-night companies. And I'm not saying that there aren't good non-accredited companies out there, but what I'm saying is, If you want a certificate of completion and you want your data to be on the national record database, you need to go through an accredited provider, as it comes with certain perks and certain stops and checks to say that this company is reputable.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, Cecilia. And I can say that Academy of York has a wonderful history of being the college that is registered with the Department of Education and registered with so many professional bodies. So all the courses are either life skills or accredited and linked to UNIT standards. So vitally, vitally important. I love this question that's been asked on the chat group by Zolisile. I hope I've pronounced your name correctly. He says, what is the purpose of a question like in an interview? How do you put an elephant inside a fridge?
That's a very nice question, and the purpose of that is to measure your ability to think outside of a box, to think laterally, to think creatively. And it's not the answer that's important. The fact that how you're going to answer the question, it's the fact that you can think about it and come up with an answer. It's like saying, how many L's are there in happy birthday? And people will say to you, but there's no L in a happy birthday. But there are. There's about 29. La, 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 la. It's just being laterally creative, thinking outside of a box. And sometimes that's what they want to see. Can you think outside of a box? So another one that people often say to you is, think of yourself as an animal, and what animal would that be? They don't really care what animal you say. They just want to see, can you think outside of a box? Can you take this question and turn it into something and reason around it?
Oh, yes. That's quite creative, very informative. Yeah, I like that. There's also another question here by Precious Sibia, right? She says, with this new normal, would you advise anyone who wishes to have a cleaning company to continue with that idea?
Yes. If that's where your passion lies, carry on with it. You know, it's the whole pandemic has changed the way that you will be doing cleaning. You might just have to expand your business in doing different types of cleaning as well. Where I stay, there's a company that comes in and they clean some of the old people's houses and so forth. But nowadays, I see that they do forensic cleaning, they do deep cleaning of businesses, they do different other types of cleaning as well. So you might just have to do your business differently. But yes, there's definitely always going to be a market for that. It's just that your market objective and what it is that you need to do will have to change.
Oh, yes. Yes, that's very informative as well. Another question is, can you explain what self-management is?
Okay, self-management is looking at yourself on a daily basis, looking at the work that you must do for that day, and then breaking it up into smaller bits, putting them down on a list and saying, I will do this at this time, this at this time, and by the end of the day, I should have achieved all of these different things. And then looking at how do you manage them within time, and if you need additional resources, co-opting those resources in. And self-management is also more than just the business side, the working side of it. It's also looking at, when is your off time? When is it your time to be with your family and your children and your friends? It's about finding a balance that works for you in how you manage yourself within your work and within your own personal space. And you know what is so interesting about this is, a few years ago, I read an article where they said, we will have to teach people how to find hobbies and how to relax. And I thought to myself, really? I know how to relax. I'm sure everybody does. But nowadays, when people are working from home, their work is so close to them that they've forgotten that I can still sit and read a book and it's okay.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, that's very important. You know, talking about staying at home, right? In this new normal, in this time during the lockdown, during the presentation you highlighted on that, but for people who missed it, how does one put themselves out there when they're looking for a job?
Right now in the pandemic.
Yes.
It's very difficult, Tabu. It's very difficult. Even with the pandemic, we cannot wait for the pandemic to pass before we put ourselves out in the market. We have to look at different ways, and one of the ways would be to put yourself on platforms such as LinkedIn, where people can physically see you. And what you can also do is make appointments either virtually or physically to go and see different companies to tell them, this is who I am, this is the skill set that I have, please don't forget about me. It just has become very difficult, and the trend today is not for people to go to companies to put themselves out there and to introduce themselves. It's to find different platforms where you can introduce yourself to whomever out there.
Oh, yes. Thank you. I'm sure participants will find this feedback very valuable. We have about just under 7 minutes left. I'd like to again encourage people to keep sending questions before we close it off.
Thabo, sorry to interject. Rudo says, are there any COVID-19 related courses that can grant a person a job?
Yes.
I've seen on the internet that there are a few courses that where they look at two different areas specifically. They look at what does the law say with regards to COVID and health and safety. And then secondly, how do you translate that into health and safety work that you do within an organization. And yes, there are courses out there. I don't know whether the courses are accredited, but I do see that the companies that offer those courses are accredited courses. I'm sure if you go onto the internet and you Google, you will find many courses like that. But what you have to look for is you have to look for a course that not only looks at the one side of the cleaning and that, but you look at a course that gives you a holistic view of COVID-19 and any other pandemic that might come our way. Legal side, the cleaning side, the protection side of the staff members, and also how do you change the policies and procedures that you have in your organization so that it becomes more user-friendly and so that it stops all the gaps and protect your staff. So there are 4 areas there that one must look at when you look at a course for any pandemic, whether it's going to be COVID-19 or whether it's the next one that's coming, it doesn't really matter. But it must be a more holistic course than just cleaning or writing a compliance or something to that extent.
Great. And I just want to add to that, Cecilia, I completely agree with you, is that remember, there's no qualification that guarantees a job. Qualifications assist you on your search to get a job. And statistically, it's proven that the higher your qualification, the more chances you have of being able to get a job. But no college can guarantee that after you've finished course X or Y, you're able to get a job. So I do think that that's just an important question to note. And then, Thabo, I think we've got another great question from Colombo Lucasa. If you wouldn't mind taking a look at that.
Colombo Lucasa.
He says, what is the important thing to do when you feel that you are lacking the certificate, but you have the experience it takes for a certain task or department? You have great willingness, but but after a week of analyzing, you start to grow weak in your motivation and you don't have the money to pursue the actual qualification. So before Cecilia answers, I would just say that one of the things that our students all have in common is that they understand that it takes not only time, but money to get a qualification, and you're actually investing in yourself, and that it is so vitally important to actually motivate yourself to complete your qualification. We've actually got a team of people who do what we call study motivations. They call you up and encourage you to get started, because we know that it's hard to study virtually. But I would definitely say to you that sadly in life, you sometimes have to sacrifice both time and money in order to get that qualification. Cecilia, your thoughts?
I agree with you, Val, but I also want to say there are other opportunities and ways that you can also obtain this, even when you do not have the money resource. Is there are learnerships and apprenticeships available, but having said that, it's not that easy sometimes to be part of that. But what I have experienced myself is, I have had people that worked with me that did not have money for the qualifications, and they volunteered and they said to me, listen, in all my extra time, I want to come and work here because I want to be part of human resources. I want to be part of this team. I don't have a qualification, but please, can I learn? Can I learn from you? And if you see them in your workplace and you see their dedication, at some time, you are going to walk up to the training officer and you're going to say, listen, this person is working in finance, but they really want to work in human resources. Can we not offer them a bursary? Can we not offer them something so that they can go and study further? That is also an option that you can go for. And you can also ask your employer if they're not prepared to pay for or sponsor you. I know it's sometimes very tight and not all employers are buying into doing that. But sometimes by just asking, the worst thing they can do is say no. But there are other options that you can use. And sometimes you just have to save up so that you can go and do that course.
Oh, wow. That was definitely informative. Eh? Time just flew. Eh? So we ran out of time. A big thank you for attending today. We so appreciate it. A reminder, we will be sending you the slides from today's session. We look forward to assisting you with any of your study queries, and we hope you find this session to be useful. Thank you very much. Thank you, Cecilia. Thank you, Val.
So Thabo, a big thank you to you hosting today's session and for organizing everything for our students. I hope that you found it valuable. To all attendees, a very big thank you to Cecilia for the phenomenal insights. Wow, 25 years of experience shared so willingly with all of us. I really hope you enjoyed it. Just a reminder to attendees that our next session is going to be, I think, on the 25th, Wednesday, the 25th of July, and the session is on money matters. And obviously we work in order to earn a living. So we want to teach you how to manage your money effectively so you can be a master money manager. A big thank you, Thabo. Thank you, Cecilia. And thank you to the AOY team for organizing today's session. We're all about doing more for less. Don't forget to visit our website. And if you'd like to sign up for a course, one of our friendly student advisors will be most willing to assist you. Thanks and have a great day.
Thank you.